Narrative isn't always a lie, and that is a gift, but it comes at a cost for me. My gift becomes my blind spot. I was given a lot of empty promises, but I held on to the promise of change because I wanted to believe the best. Because there's a difference between someone trying and struggling and someone not trying at all. I became someone I didn't recognize. And then we confuse hope with wisdom. You don't keep building your life around a harvest that never comes. They're just stressed. They didn't need it. They have so much potential. They're a good person deep down. If I just love them harder, it'll click. Once the season passes, it'll be different. Okay, this one is a quieter episode. This is also one of the most important ones in the whole series. Because if you can't separate data from narrative, you can be smart, you can be loving, you can be loyal, you can be patient, and still stay stuck for years. This video is called Data versus Narrative. And the theme is simple. We tell ourselves stories to stay comfortable. And one of the most common comfort stories is potential. So I want to say it plainly. Potential isn't data. That doesn't mean hope is bad. That doesn't mean people never change. That doesn't mean you should become cynical and cold. It just means we have to stop treating what could happen like it carries the same weight as what has happened, because those are not the same category. And if you've been living inside a narrative, this episode might feel a little tender, not because I'm here to shame you, but because there's grief in realizing you've been holding onto something that wasn't actually being built. Let me define these the way I use them. Data is what has happened, what has occurred. It's the pattern, it's the behavior, it's the outcome, it's what keeps repeating. Narrative is what we hope will happen. It's the story we tell ourselves about the future. And I want you to notice narrative isn't always a lie. Sometimes narrative is your values, your optimism, your willingness to believe in growth. And that can be a gift. I know for me, I have a tendency to see the good in people, and that is a gift, but it comes at a cost for me. Because if I'm not careful, my gift becomes my blind spot. I can start watering a story instead of watching a pattern. I learned this in an old relationship. I was given a lot of empty promises. They promised they would change. They said they cared. They said things would get better. And time moved on. And not only did things not change, things actually got worse. But I held on to the promise of change because I wanted to believe the best. And again, hoping for change wasn't the problem. The problem was hoping for change without any growth or best effort being put forth. Because there's a difference between someone trying and struggling and someone not trying at all. And there's also a difference between it's not working yet and regression. Holding out for change in that situation cost me time, effort, emotions, my safe space, my mental well being. And it slowly made me into a person I didn't like. It's hard to explain unless you've lived it, but I became someone I didn't recognize. And if you're hearing this and you're like, I've been there, I'm not going to leave you in shame. But I do want you to notice what the cost has been, because data always has a cost. Hi, love. Before you go, if you want something you can actually work through off camera, I have a free Guard Your Proximity guide linked below. It's simple, it's grounding, and it gives you a starting point when you can feel yourself slipping into confusion. And here's the fun part: when we hit 100 subscribers, I'm celebrating with a giveaway. The reward is the full Guard Your Proximity workbook. This is a complete extensive PDF that goes deeper and walks you through how to guard your proximity and stay grounded. So, if you want that reward unlocked, subscribe and share the channel with someone who'd get value from this. The faster we hit 100, the faster the giveaway drops. Consider this my thank you for building this with me reward. Now let's get back to the video. This is where the plant metaphor helps me. If I plant a seed in the ground, but I make no effort to water it, I can't be upset at the seed. I can't be mad that nothing is growing if I'm not doing anything to tend it. But here's the part that matters for relationships and situations. Sometimes we keep waiting for growth when the water isn't happening. No effort, no tending, no consistent behavior, no repair, no follow through. We're just staring at dirt, hoping a plant appears. And then we confuse hope with wisdom. Now, sometimes you can do all the right things. You water it, you put your best foot forward, and it still doesn't grow. That's not always because your efforts were wrong. It could have been a bad seed. It could have been bad soil. It could have been the wrong season. But either way, you don't keep calling it a thriving plant when nothing is growing. You don't keep building your life around a harvest that never comes. That's the difference between narrative and data. Narrative says it's going to grow. Data says what has grown so far. And I know that sounds almost too simple, but I'm telling you, simplicity is where clarity lives. Here's why narrative is so seductive. Narrative protects you from the grief of reality. Because if you admit the data, you might have to make a change. You might have to confront something. You might have to take a step back. You might have to accept that someone isn't who you hoped they were. And that grief can feel heavy. So instead, the mind does something that feels safer in the short term. It builds a story where staying makes sense. It says, they're just stressed. They didn't need it. They have so much potential. They're a good person deep down. If I just love them harder, it'll click. Once the season passes, it'll be different. And sometimes those things are true, but you don't know they're true because you feel them. You know they're true because the data starts changing, because growth has a pattern, effort has a pattern, repair has a pattern, accountability has a pattern. And if those patterns aren't present, then what you have is not a growth story. It's a comfort story. This is where I want to bring back something from earlier videos, but gently. When you're in a narrative mode, your inner landmarks can get loud. You feel anxious, unsettled, mentally busy, like you can't rest. And you might tell yourself it's because you care. And yes, caring is real. But sometimes the anxiety is also telling you something else. You are trying to live in two realities at once. Reality one, what keeps happening, and reality two, what you keep hoping will happen. That split creates a kind of internal friction, and that friction becomes anxiety. So, if you're constantly anxious in a situation, one question to consider is, am I responding to data, or am I trying to protect the narrative? Because if you're protecting a narrative, your nervous system doesn't get to settle, it stays on duty. I want to ask you a few questions. No pressure to answer out loud, but just notice what comes up. What's the story you're telling yourself that helps you stay comfortable? What's the potential you keep pointing to? If someone's potential was removed from the conversation, what would the current data say? What has actually improved over time? What has actually gotten worse over time? If you were watching this situation happen to someone you love, what would you call it? And one more thing, because this one is hard but important. Are you watering a seed or are you staring at dirt? Because those are different realities. Now, I want to add nuance because I'm not interested in absolutes. Sometimes someone is trying. And even if it's messy, effort has a pattern, attempt has a pattern, repair has a pattern, and that matters. So, this episode is not leave when it's not perfect, it's stop calling it growth when there is no effort. Stop calling it potential when there is no tending. Stop calling it change because you want it. Data is what has happened. Narrative is what we hope will happen. And hope is healthy when it's attached to reality. Hope becomes harmful when it replaces reality. So, what do you do when you realize you've been living in a narrative? First, breathe. Because people hear this and they immediately go into panic. Oh my gosh, what have I done? Have I wasted my life? Am I stupid? Did I mess up? No, noticing is not self destructive. Noticing is clarity, and clarity is the beginning of choice. So here's a grounding approach. Number one, name the narrative. The story I've been holding is, then name the data. What has happened is, next, name the cost. This has cost me. And if you can't name the cost without minimizing it, that's also data, because minimizing is usually how we survive staying in a situation that hurts. This is also where the Guard Your Proximity PDF is a reinforcement. Because one of the biggest reasons people stay inside narrative isn't just their own hope, it's the voices around them. Some voices will keep feeding the narrative. Just give it time. Don't be dramatic. You're expecting too much. They're trying with no evidence. And the other voices will push you into extremes. Cut them off immediately, burn the bridge, expose them. Neither of those helps discernment. Guarding your proximity is about keeping the right voices around you, voices that help you stay grounded in reality, safe in your nervous system, and accountable to truth. Not hype, not shame, not drama, reinforcement. So, I want to close this episode with something gentle and honest. If you've been living on potential, you're not foolish, you're human. And a lot of people were trained to believe that love equals endurance. A lot of people were trained to believe that staying hopeful is the same as being wise. But wisdom is hope plus reality. Wisdom is narrative plus data. And if the data isn't changing, you don't have to keep calling it a growth story. You can call it what it is. And calling it what it is doesn't force you to decide today. It just gives you your mind back. So the takeaway for this video was simple. Data is what has happened. Narrative is what you hope will happen. Potential isn't data. This week, I want you to identify one seed you've been waiting on and ask yourself, am I seeing watering? Am I seeing effort? Am I seeing growth? Or am I just hoping? No shame, just clarity. In the next video, we're going to talk about decision fatigue loops, why confusion is often the real red flag, and why clarity can feel boring. And that's actually a good thing. All right, remember to breathe, notice, and tell the truth gently. I'll see you in the next lab session. Thank you so much for watching and spending time with me today. If this video resonated with you in any way, I'd really appreciate you taking a moment to like and subscribe. Sharing this video helps it reach someone else who may need it, and that support truly makes a difference. If you'd like to keep coming back, make sure to turn on the notification bell so you don't miss future videos. I appreciate you being here, and I'm grateful you chose to spend part of your day with this content. Take care of yourself, move at your own pace, and I'll see you next time.